The Death of Beowulf. Beowulf spoke, in spite of the swollen, livid wound, knowing he'd unwound his string of days on earth, seen as much as God would grant him. All worldly pleasure was gone, as life would go, soon. I'd leave my armor to my son, now, if God had given me an heir, a child born of my body, his life created for mine. I've worn this crown for 50 winters. No neighboring people have tried to threaten the Geats, sent soldiers against us, or talked of terror. My days have gone by as fate willed, waiting for its word to be spoken, ruling as well as I knew how, swearing no unholy oaths, seeking no lying wars. I can leave this life happy. I can die here, knowing the Lord of all life has never watched me wash my sword and blood born of my own family. Beloved Wiglaf, go, quickly, find the dragon's treasure. We've taken its life, but its gold is ours too. Hurry, bring me ancient silver, precious jewels, shining armor and gems, before I die. Death will be softer, leaving life and these people I've ruled so long, if I look at this last of all prizes. Then Wexton's son went in, as quickly as he could, did as the dying Beowulf asked, entered the inner darkness of the tower, went with his mail shirt and his sword. Flushed with victory, he groped his way, a brave young warrior, and suddenly saw piles of gleaming gold, precious gems, scattered on the floor, cups and bracelets, rusty old helmets, beautifully made, but rotting with no hands to rub and polish them. They lay where the dragon left them. It had flown in the darkness, once, before fighting its final battle. So gold can easily triumph, defeat the strongest of men, no matter how deep it is hidden. And he saw, hanging high above, a golden banner, woven by the best weavers and beautiful. And over everything he saw a strange light, shining everywhere, on walls and floors and treasure. Nothing moved. No other monsters appeared. He took what he wanted, all the treasures that pleased his eye. Heavy plates and golden cups and the glorious banner, loaded his arms with all they could hold. Beowulf's dagger, his iron blade, had finished the fire-spitting terror that once protected tower and treasures alike. The gray-bearded lord of the Geats had ended those flying, burning raids. Forever. Then Wiglaf went back, anxious to return while Beowulf was alive, to bring him treasure they'd won together. He ran, hoping his wounded king, weak and dying, had not left the world too soon. Then he brought the treasure to Beowulf, and found his famous king bloody, gasping for breath. But Wiglaf sprinkled water over his lord, until the words deep in his breast broke through and were heard. Beholding the treasure, he spoke, haltingly. For this gold, these jewels, I thank our Father in heaven, ruler of the earth. for all of this that his grace has given me, allowed me to bring to my people while breath still came to my lips. I sold my life for this treasure, and I sold it well. Take what I leave, Wiglaf. Lead my people. Help them. My time is gone. Have the brave Geats build me a tomb, when the funeral flames have burned me, and build it here, at the water's edge, high on this spit of land, so sailors can see this tower, and remember my name, and call it Beowulf's Tower, and boats in the darkness and mist crossing the sea will know it. Then that brave king gave the golden necklace from around his throat to Wiglaf, gave him his gold-covered helmet, and his rings, and his mail shirt, and ordered him to use them well. You are the last of all our far-flung family. Fate has swept our race away, taken warriors and their strength and led them to the death that was waiting. And now, I follow them. The old man's mouth was silent, spoke no more, has said as much as it could. He would sleep in the fire soon. His soul left his flesh, flew to glory. And when the battle was over, Beowulf's followers came out of the wood, cowards and traitors, knowing the dragon was dead. Afraid, while it spit its fires, to fight in their lord's defense, to throw their javelins and spears, they came like shamefaced jackals, their shields in their hands, to the place where the prince lay dead, and waited for Wiglaf to speak. He was sitting near Beowulf's body, wearily sprinkling water in the dead man's face, trying to stir him. He could not. No one could have kept life in their lord's body, or turned aside the Lord's will. World and men and all move as he orders, and always have, and always will. Then Wiglaf turned, and angrily told them what men without courage must hear. Wexton's brave son stared at the traitors, his heart sorrowful, and said what he had to. I say what anyone who speaks the truth must stay. Too few of his warriors remembered to come, when our Lord faced death, alone. And now the giving of swords, of golden rings and rich estates, is over. Ended for you and everyone who shares your blood. When the brave Geats hear how you bolted and ran, none of your race will have anything left but their lives. And death would be better for them all, and for you, than the kind of life you can lead, branded with disgrace. Then the warriors rose, walked slowly down from the cliff, stared at those wonderful sights, stood weeping as they saw Beowulf dead on the sand, their bold ring-giver resting in his last bed. He'd reached the end of his days, their mighty war-king, the great lord of the Geats, gone to a glorious death. Then the Geats built the tower, as Beowulf had asked. Strong and tall, so sailors could find it from far and wide. Working for 10 long days they made this monument, sealed his ashes in walls as straight and high as wise and willing hands could raise them. And the riches he and Wiglaf had won from the dragon, rings, necklaces, ancient hammered armor, all the treasure they'd taken were left there too. Silver and jewels buried in the sandy ground, back in the earth, again and forever hidden and useless to men. And then 12 of the bravest Geats rode their horses around the tower, telling their sorrow, telling the stories of the dead king and his greatness, his glory, praising him for heroic deeds, for a life as noble as his name. So should all men raise up for words for their lords, warm with love, when their shield and protector leaves his body behind, sends his soul on high. And so Beowulf's followers rode, mourning their beloved leader, crying that no better king had ever lived, no prince so mild, no man so open to his people, so deserving of praise.